Good day, dear students. This is Sarabjeet Kaur, working as an assistant professor in PG Department of Computer Science, Arya College, Ludhiana. And today's topic is Basics of C Language, which is the part of subject Problem Solving Through C of BCA first semester. As we all know that C is a programming language and this is used in designing various real-world applications like gaming, animations, operating systems are designed and various other applications also. And the contents which I am going to cover in this presentation are Introduction of C language, Structure of a C program, Fundamentals of C language, and control statements, in which decision control structures are there, loop control structures and case control structures. And the first point is it's a general purpose language. C is a general purpose structured programming language. It is reliable, simple and easy to use. Therefore, it has become very popular programming language and it was developed at Bell Laboratories of USA in 1972 by Dennis Ritchie. And it is closely associated with the Unix operating system because Unix operating system is designed in C language. It is also called procedure-oriented programming language because the program is divided into different modules or procedures. It's used for system programming as well as for application programming. That means various system applications are designed in C language and various application programs like some apps which we are using in our mobile phones and in our systems, and system programming like various compilers are designed in it. It has inbuilt functions which are available for use by the C programmer. Like we are going to calculate the length of a string, so we have inbuilt function, and we are going to calculate the square root of a number, that is also available in it. Here is the structure of C program. That means the way the C program is written, we have to follow some steps. We have to use some sort of structure for it. So it has different parts like documentation section, preprocessor directive section, link section, definition section, global declaration section, then main function section where declaration part and executable part are there, then the subprogram section. Like let's understand it with the help of an example. First section is the documentation section and this is the comment section. That means we can omit comments if we don't want to write any comments, so we can omit this section. Now next is the preprocessor directive or link section, and here we are including the header file like stdio.h because this header file includes many functions which we are using in this, so this header file must be included. Next we have main function section and this is the program segment. So this is just a simple program. Now next program is about preprocessor directives. Like define, we are defining a constant value 10. That means whenever we are going to use this variable value, then the 10 will be written there. And in a large program, like we have used this variable, this constant at many places, and we want to change its value, then we need to change this value over here only, and the changes will be reflected automatically into the program where this variable is used. So next is global variable declaration. Global variable declaration, that means this variable can be used throughout the program and we need not to declare it again and again. Then main section, and here we have written this in comments. Like this is the beginning of the program and this is the comment section, and this section is omitted or avoided by the compiler. That means this statement is not executed at all. Now next, int local variable. Here it's the local declaration. That means this variable is declared in main section only and we cannot use this variable outside the main function. Next, local variable is equal to 5. That means this is the variable definition. We are assigning the value 5 to this variable. Next, here is one statement where some calculation is being done. That means local variable plus value. That means 5 plus 10, because value, this constant has 10 as its value. So after that we are printing this statement, printf total sum is %d. %d is the format specifier, and here this variable where that value is stored, global variable, and it prints the result. That means the result is printed on the screen, and this is also the comment. There is a close relation between learning general English language and learning C language. Like the method of learning general English, that means first we need to learn characters, then we combine them to form alphabets, then they are combined to form sentences, and then they are combined to form paragraphs. Similarly, in C language, using character set, we can form variables, keywords, and constants, which are then combined to form statements and instructions, and which then together form a program. So here we have the correct C character set, and the C character set consists of upper and lower case alphabets, digits are there, special characters and white spaces. And the alphabets and digits are all together called as the alphanumeric characters. And here we have a character set like this. We have alphabets A to Z, capital and in lower case, digits 0 to 9, and different symbols are there, and then spaces like backspace, tab, blank. These all come under C character set, and this is a part of fundamentals of C language. Next we have identifiers and keywords. Now identifiers represent the name in the C program, like we are giving the name add.c, and identifiers also means variables. We declare or we define the functions, we declare array variables, structures, unions, and different labels are used. An identifier can be composed of letters, uppercase letters, lowercase letters, underscore, digits, but the starting letter should be either an alphabet or an underscore. We cannot start a variable name with number like 5a. So we cannot use this as a variable name. Some examples are total, sum, average, underscore m underscore, sum underscore 1, etc. Next we have some rules for constructing C identifiers. Some rules are used like the first character of an identifier should be either an alphabet or an underscore, like we have discussed in previous slide also, and then it can be followed by any of the character, digit or underscore. It should not begin with any numerical digit. In identifiers, both uppercase and lowercase letters are distinct. That means identifiers are case sensitive. If you are declaring a variable like small letters, sum, and you are using it as sum, then these two variable names are different. Commas or blank spaces cannot be specified within identifier. You cannot use commas. Keywords cannot be represented as an identifier because keywords are the special words or reserved words whose meaning is already known to the compiler. The length of the identifier should not be more than 31 characters. Identifier should be written in such a way that it is meaningful, short, and easy to read. Like if you are taking two numbers A and B and you are going to calculate sum, so it's better to use sum as a variable to store the addition of those two numbers rather than taking variable C. Like if you are writing C is equal to A plus B, and if we use sum is equal to A plus B, then I think this is more meaningful as compared to C is equal to A plus B, because just looking at this variable we come to know that it's taking the addition of two numbers or more numbers. Now keywords. Keywords are predefined reserved words used in programming that have special meaning to the compiler. Keywords are part of the syntax and they cannot be used as an identifier. And here are some examples of keywords like auto, break, case, character, continue, if, static, void, switch. These all are the keywords and there are 32 keywords in C language and we cannot use these keywords as a variable name. Question can also come in the form like what is the difference between keyword and an identifier. So keyword is a predefined word, identifier is a user defined word. Keyword must be written in a lowercase letter and it can be written in both lowercase and uppercase letters. Its meaning is predefined in the C compiler in case of keyword, and in case of identifiers the meaning is not defined in C compiler. It is a combination of alphabetical characters, and in case of identifiers we can use alphabets as well as numbers. Keywords doesn't contain the underscore character, and in identifiers we can use underscore character. Now next is constants. Constants means the value of which cannot be changed during the program execution, and we have different types of constants like numeric constants are there, character constants are there. In numeric constants we have integer constants which includes minus infinity to plus infinity, only whole numbers without any decimal point, and in real constants we can take decimal point values. In character constants, we have single character constants and string constants. Single character constant means only one value can be taken. It can be any, it can be of any type, like it can be a number, it can be a alphabet. And in string constant, it's a combination of characters. And in single character constant, the constant is included in single quotes only. And in case of string constants, it must be included in double quotes. And single character constant does not include any null character, and in case of string constant the end of string is null character. Now next is data types. Data type C in C means what type of value we are going to store, like whether it is of integer type, whether it is a character. So all these come under data types. Like we have primary data types, character, float, int, and one another is other is void. And we have user defined data types in which enum and type def is there, and derived data types, that means derived by the user, those are pointers, arrays, structures, and unions. And in primary data type, character, float, int, these all are further divided into signed and unsigned. And float, float, double, long double, int, int, long int, unsigned long int, long int, unsigned long int, short int, and unsigned short int. And the range depends what type of data type we are using. Like for 32-bit CPU and for 64-bit CPU, character takes 1 byte in both and short takes 2 bytes, int takes 4 bytes, long takes 4 byte in 32-bit CPU and 8 bytes in 64-bit CPU. So this is the range. Like if we are entering any value or any character whose ASCII value lies between -128 to 127, then it's okay. And if the range lies beyond it, then the value is taken in a circular way. Now to calculate range, how we are going to calculate the range? Like in case of int type, the in case of any data type, the formula is this: minus 2 raised to power size minus 1 to 2 raised to power size minus 1 minus 1. Like in case of int 2 bytes size 2 into 8, that means 16 bits. So it would be minus 2 raised to power 16 minus 1 to 2 raised to power 16 minus 1 minus 1. That means minus 2 raised to power 15 to 2 raised to power 15 minus 1. And when we calculate 2 raised to power 15, then it comes out to be 32,768. So this is the final range. That means whenever you are going to enter any value of int type, then it must lie between this. Now next is expression. An expression is a combination of constant, variable and operators to form an executable statement. And it represents single data item such as a number or a character, and it may consist of combination of entity such as constant, variable, an array element or reference to function interconnected by one or more operators. Like here result is equal to a plus b into c. So it's a variable, result is a variable, and this is one operand on which some calculation is being done, and this is an operator like a plus b into c. So in C language, whenever we are going to write any expressions, we cannot write division sign like this. Like in normal mathematical calculations, we need to use the keyboard symbols or the keyboard keys and symbols like this. Like you want to write ab minus cd, so it would be written as a into b minus c into d, and this asterisk sign is used as a multiplication symbol. Now next is expression and expression. Now next statements. We have C statements, and one is the empty statement, that means only semicolon, and expression statement. Expression statement means we are writing combination of constants, variables and operators so that an executable statement can be formed, and some control statements like selection statement, iteration statement and transfer statement. And statements causes the computers to carry out some actions, like we want to perform some actions according to some conditions or according to some executable statements. So here we have control statements, and control statements are further divided into three categories: selection or decision control statements, iteration or loop control statements, transfer or jump statements. Selection and decision control statements means according to some conditions you want to execute some statements, and iteration or loop control statements means you want to repeatedly perform some action, repeatedly execute some statements. Transfer and jump statement means if some condition satisfies at that time, you just want to go out of the loop or you want to jump to other block. So in selection or decision control statements, we have simple if statement. Like if I'm going to say that the person whose age is greater than equal to 18 years, he or she is eligible to vote. That means we are checking if age is greater than equal to 18, and we are going to display some message, you are eligible to vote. Like, so next is if else statement. If else means if this condition uh, is satisfied, then this part will be executed, else the other part will be executed. Nested if means if within another if. Else if ladder and switch statement, these two are very much interrelated, means these two can be used interchangeably. Next we have iteration or loop control statements. While loop is there, do while loop is there, and for loop. Transfer and jump statements: break, continue, return and go to. Now first one, selection statement, simple if. Like I have given one value 5 to a variable test, and I'm checking if test is less than 10. Now 5 is less than 10. That means the statements which are written in this block in these curly braces would be executed. And if this condition is not true, like here, if test is greater than 10, 5 is greater than 10? No. Then the control will not go to this block, rather it will jump after this block. Next is if else. Like I have given a value variable is equal to 8 and I'm checking if variable is less than 10. Now 8 is less than 10. It's true. That means this block will be executed. Otherwise, if this condition comes to be false, like in this case, then the control jump to the else block. And after completing this true block, the control will go to the next block, which is after else. And in case of this, if this condition is false, the control will jump to else block, and after the execution of this else block, the next statement which is written after the else block will be executed. In case of nested if, we are checking this condition. If this condition is true, then the control will go to the next if statement, and if this condition is true, then this part will be executed, and if this condition is false, then the control will jump to the else block. And after executing these statements, now this if statement is true and this if statement is true, that means the control will go to the block which is just after this if, the end of this if. Now else if ladder, that means if this condition is true, then the control will go to this. If this condition is not true, then this block will be checked. And if this block is true, then this will execute. And if this block is false, then the control will jump to this and this and this. If the above all are false, then this. And after each and every block, means like if this condition is true, after statement 1's execution, the control will not go to other else part, rather it will jump directly at the end of if. Like in this case, switch case and else if ladder both are very much same. Like in switch case, if I'm writing roll number is equal to 3 and we are checking roll 3. Now 3 is here in roll. Then the control here, like it will check case 1. No, the value is not 1. Then it will go to this. Case 2. No, the value is not 3. Then it will go to this. Here the value is 3. That means this case or this block will be executed, and after this execution we are writing break statement. That means it will go or it will come out of this switch. And this is same like this, because if first condition is true, then the other blocks are not checked and it will come out of if statement. And same is here. If this switch, the value is not like of case 1 or case 2, then the value which is written here or in is there in this variable, according to that case or that block will be executed, and after the execution of that block it will encounter break statement and it will come out of this statement. Now next we have iteration statements, like we want to perform some or we want to execute some statements repeatedly. So in that case, iteration statements or loop control statements are used. First one is while loop. In while loop, here the variable is initialized. Then while, here condition is checked. If that condition is true, then this block will execute. And here that control variable or the variable which we have initialized here, that's value will be incremented or decremented, and after that again the loop will be checked, and these statements will execute repeatedly. And every time this condition is checked in while, and if this condition is true, this block is executed, and whenever this condition becomes false, then it will come out of the loop. That means this while loop gets executed until the condition becomes false. and this is called entry control loop. That means before entering into the block, this condition is checked. And in case of do while loop, this is called exit control loop. Exit control loop means whenever we are exiting from the loop, we are coming out of the loop, at that time condition is checked. And this block gets executed until this condition is true. And whenever the condition becomes false, it just comes, it doesn't go into the do block, rather it will come out of the loop. So here do, then the statements which we want to execute repeatedly, those are written here, and after that condition is checked, and after while semicolon is must to write. But here no semicolon would be written here. Here semicolon is must. Next is for loop. In for loop, this is used when we know how many times we want to perform or we want to execute these statements. Here initialization is there, then condition is written, then updation. And this is the body of the loop. And here first initialization is done, which is done just once, and then the condition is checked. If that condition is true, then the block is executed, and if this condition is false, then it just comes out of the loop. That means the next statement immediately after the closing brace, and after this the updation is done. Here updation is done, and then again the condition is checked. Now next we have jump statements. Jump statements are used whenever we want to come out of the loop or we just want to skip some part. Like here in break statement, we are writing it in while statement, while loop, like while test expression. If this expression is true, then we are checking for some condition, like if test expression, like if this condition is true, if this test expression is true, then we just want to come out of the loop. Like I'm checking some variables value, like I is equal to 3. If I is equal to 3, I just write break. That means we will come out of the loop. And in case of do while, again same, if this test expression is true, then break. That means we are coming out of the loop just after this while condition. And in for loop, same, break. That means coming out of the for loop. That means after break statement, whatever statements we are writing, those statements would not be executed. And in case of continue, this is just the opposite of break statement. In continue, that means if that test expression is true, then it will skip the statements after that, and rather it will go to the next iteration. Same do, continue, that means these statements would not get executed and it will come to the while part, while loop part. Here condition is checked, then again the do, that means the do while loop will be executed. And in case of for loop, same, continue, that means these statements will not get executed and it will rather go to the next test expression to be checked. Next is return. Return is basically used in case of subprograms or functions. Like here we have written num is equal to scare 4. Now whenever this statement is coming for execution, scare 4, it will check for the function scare, and it's written here. That means the control will jump to this, and after the calculations, here we have written return. That means the control would return back to here. So returning to the calling function, like this is the calling function and this is the called function which have been called by this calling function. So after the execution of all these statements, if we are writing return, that means it will go back to the calling function. Here is go to. Go to means if this condition gets satisfied, then go to label. It will search for the label where it is written with this colon sign. and it will skip all these statements and it will directly jump to that label, and the statements after that label which are written, those will be executed. Thank you, student. This is all about basics of C language.